Hey language enthusiasts, welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of punctuation with a focus on a little mark that carries a big impact. Apostrophes to mark omission. From turning do not into don't to unlocking the secrets behind its and its. We'll unravel the mysteries and rules of this punctuation powerhouse. So let's jump right in and uncover the magic of apostrophes. So why use apostrophes? Well, this is our part 2 video of the 2 series that we have, which is apostrophes to mark possession, and this video here, which is to mark omission. So if you haven't already seen our first video, then dive into that video. But other than that, let's begin with this. So why use apostrophes? Well, apostrophes are used to mark omission as well as possession. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about possession and possessive forms, then go ahead and dive into our video that you can see on the link right away. And that will tell you a little bit about how we can work with plural and singular possessive forms. So let's take an example now. You can see we have the word will, which is shortened for we will. Now, the use of apostrophes for omission or contraction is simply rooted in the English language, and its goal is to effectively communicate. And when words are contracted, letters or syllables are omitted, this makes the speech or even writing faster and more fluid. And even if we take the second example, don't, which is shortened for do not, the omission of the letter O and the space between the words streamlines the expression without changing its meaning. And this is especially useful in everyday conversations and informal writing where speed and clarity matter. So the apostrophe acts as a visual cue that a letter or letters have been omitted, allowing readers or listeners to construct the full word effortlessly. And over time, this will come naturally to you. And then finally, we have our third example, their, which is shortened for they are. And that's just a fusion, with the letter A being omitted and represented by an apostrophe. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive into our first question. So write the words below in their contracted form. Has not would become hasn't. And that's the top right here. So the apostrophe replaces the O in not. In such cases, is not would become isn't, and had not would become hadn't. So I hope that is clear. And don't forget to consolidate your understanding better, try to use these in sentences. Okay, question number 2. There is. So there is the car. Or in short, there's the car. So for this, our answer would be the top left, which is theirs. But don't confuse it with the word theirs with an E and an I, because that is a possessive pronoun. For example, this house is theirs. Marvelous work. Let's go ahead and dive into the third one. Let us. So again, that would be let's. And one mistake to point out here, even though the answer is on the top left, is that a lot of people write let's as the one in red. And I've purposely put it in red because it should be avoided. So it's before the S. Okay, let's go for the next question. I would. So the contracted form would be I'd. Now it can cause problems. The text should help you decide on the correct meaning of I'd. So just to confirm, if you had I had, as well as I would, that would both result in I'd. Now, this contraction can cause problems. For example, if we have I had, or as well as I would, there's 2 different interpretations. So in sentences like, I'd already finished my assignment, I'd is a contraction for I had. So here it refers to the past action that was completed. And this second interpretation is for I would. So in sentences like, I'd love to join you, I'd is a contraction for I would. So in this context, it indicates a willingness or desire to perform a future action. So the surrounding words and the overall context of the sentences help clarify whether I'd stands for I had or I would. So pay attention to the tense and the flow of the sentence. Okay, let's move over to the next question. You're doing really well, so let's keep it up. So write the words below in their contracted form, and we have I have, which would be shortened for I've. So the HA is replaced by the apostrophe. And don't forget to put these in sentences as well. Okay, who is? So the correct answer would be who's in the top left. But once again, don't confuse this for whose, because whose is the possessive form of who. For example, whose is this rabbit? Okay, over to the next question. I shall not. So this would actually be I shan't. And shan't is a bit of a slang term, so it should be avoided in good writing. So use it only in speech and written dialogues. And don't forget, when you're writing out these sentences, put them in the comment section below, where everybody can see all of the fantastic sentences that you're coming up with. Okay, over to the next question. Cannot, and that is most common, so I'm sure everybody would get this correct. We'd get can't. So learn this contraction because it's often written wrongly. Cannot can also be written as can not with a space, but cannot is better together. Okay, over to the next question. Must not. Any ideas? Well, if you chose mustn't, then you're absolutely correct. The apostrophe replaces the O in not. So in such cases, we could also have is not, which would be isn't, or had not, which would be hadn't. So it's always key to remember that the O is omitted. And finally, I am. The hardest of them all. What could it be? Well, if you chose I'm, you're absolutely correct. And you should know this contraction. Marvelous work. And there you have it, folks. That brings us to the end of our video. Now, apostrophes to mark omission might be small, but they wield significant power when it comes to adding flair to our language. So from abbreviating words to adding a touch of informality, these little marks play a big role in how we communicate. So next time you're writing or speaking, keep these apostrophe rules in mind to make your words pop. So if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on all the things language related. And before I let you go, I've got a little snakes and ladder game here. Perhaps you could use this to work with numbers, or you can relate this to your apostrophes to mark omissions. Until next time, keep exploring the beauty of words and punctuation.